Hey everybody, and welcome back to our Bible study. We're talking about Genesis chapter 36 today. I just want to say thank you for everybody who's been studying along with us and leaving comments and encouragement. I really appreciate it, and I've had a pretty good response to these 5-minute studies. So Genesis chapter 36. This is a fun chapter, and I'll explain why in a second. So when did the events of this chapter take place? Well, it's kind of a hard chapter to date because it's a genealogy, basically a list of Esau's family line. So there's a lot of characters in here that span a lot of time, and we're not given exact dates as to when all of them lived and how old they were when they died. So maybe the best way to date this chapter is just to say that Esau himself was born in approximately 1836 BC. And Esau is our main character in this chapter. We've been focused primarily on his brother Jacob in the past couple chapters, but Esau, who is also known as Edom, he was Jacob's twin brother, and he was the father of the Edomite nation. A second group of main characters is Esau's immediate family. So this chapter is going to record the names of Esau's 3 wives and his 5 sons and some of his grandchildren. Then towards the end of the chapter, we're given a list of names of some kings of Seir, which is the area where Esau and his family lived. These kings are listed by name and in order of their succession of that region of the world. So in terms of our map, I pretty much just mentioned the area that we'll be focused on, and that is the area of Seir, the hill country of Seir. This was the area that God gave as an inheritance to Esau, and we'll explain when and why he moved there in a little bit. So now for our outline, verses 1 through 5, we have a list of Esau's wives and his sons and their names. So Esau, who was again also known as Edom, he had 3 wives who bore him sons, 5 sons. The names of his wives were Adah the Hittite, Aholibama the Hivite. And I think if you want to name your daughter Aholibama, I think that one's still available. It's a strong feminine name, right? And then another nice one, Basemath or Basemath. I'm going to go with Basemath, though. Basemath, the daughter of Ishmael. Right? So that's interesting. Abraham's son Ishmael with Hagar, he had a daughter, and Esau married his daughter. So all 3 of those names are available to you if you want to name your future daughter Adah, Aholibama, or Basemath. Just a suggestion. Now, if you have a sharp memory, you'll know that Esau also married another woman named Judith, according to chapter 26, verse 34. But she isn't mentioned in this chapter. We're not told why. Maybe she passed away. Maybe she didn't bear any male children for Esau. Esau had 5 sons, and their names were Eliphaz, Ruel, Jeush, Jolom, and Korah. And according to verse 6, we also know that he had several daughters. In the next section, then, verses 6 through 8, Esau moves to Seir. So you may be wondering how Esau went from living in Canaan to living in this new place. Well, this is going to explain it to us. So Jacob and Esau lived together for a while, but they had so many flocks and animals that the land couldn't sustain them both living together. And so Esau decided that he was going to move south to Seir, and that was going to help remedy the problem. And then in verses 9 through 19, we see the growth of the children of Esau, or the Edomite nation. The Edomites are mentioned over 100 times in the rest of the Bible story, so they're pretty important in their interactions with Israel, who are going to be God's chosen people. Those are the descendants of Jacob. Several of Esau's grandchildren are mentioned, including the sons of Eliphaz. He had 6 sons: Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, Kenaz, and Amalek. His other son, Ruel, bore Nahath, Zerah, Shema, and Mizpah. These genealogies are fun. So then in our next section, verses 20 through 30, we have the descendants of another guy named Seir the Horite. So the Horites lived in the land of Seir before Esau's descendants took it over. So it appears that the land of Seir got its name from this guy, Seir the Horite. Seir had 7 sons who were chiefs among the Horites: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anna, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishon. And verses 22 through 28, which I will spare you from me reading all of the names in that section, it lists the sons of each of those chiefs. So then next, in verses 31 through 39, we have this list of the kings of Edom. The text says, "These are the kings who reigned in Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. The names of the kings are listed in order of their succession: Bela, Jobab, Husham, Hadad, Samla, Shaul, Baal-Hanan, and Hadar." And then in our final section, if you're still with us, it concludes with the chiefs of Esau. And we're not given a whole lot of information here in this section, but I'm just going to read you what the text says in verses 40 through 43. "These are the names of the chiefs of Esau, according to their clans and their dwelling places by their names. The chiefs Timnah, Alva, Jetheth, Aholibama, Ella, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Iram. These are the chiefs of Edom." And so that is Genesis chapter 36. Make sure to memorize all of these names before you do chapter 37. Now, let's conclude with an application. It only takes one generation to steer an entire family away from God. Jacob retained his relationship with the one true God, the God of Isaac, his father, and the God of Abraham, his grandfather. But Esau married Canaanite women, and he directed his family in another direction. Many of Esau's descendants would become enemies of God and enemies of God's people, Jacob's descendants, the Israelites. And the other biblical writers don't speak particularly high of Esau. The Hebrew writer actually calls him an immoral man in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 16. So you and I have a decision to make. Will we serve the one true God and teach our family to do the same and leave a legacy of service to Him? Or are we going to turn away from Him and potentially influence multiple generations in the future to pursue the same unwise path?